So let's transition a little bit talking about loss and grief because they do play a role in terms of our past and also play a role in our present and also play a role in our future. Okay, so whatever you feel comfortable with, I would like you to share your story of grief and how that has affected you and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because if you asked me this a few years ago, I wouldn't have very much to add on that topic. But recently, I say recently, and it was 2020 in the pandemic. My father passed away, and then 9 months later, my sister passed away.
So sorry.
It was really difficult. Obviously, it was just like a gut punch because we had never experienced grief as a
Mm-hmm.
family. Thankfully, we made it all these years and not lost anybody close to us. Obviously, our grandparents and whatnot, but in our immediate family, we were whole. So it was devastating. And I will say that grief is bizarre because you don't know how it's going to treat you,
Right? No
and
one.
it's very different for everyone.
Definitely
So
is.
for me, I was so busy, like seriously busy, writing press releases,
Mm-hmm.
doing interviews. My sister was kind of a big deal. So
She's
I was,
amazing. Name her. She's amazing. She's a hero. Yeah.
yeah, Eileen Her is like a legend in the Twin
Yes, she
Cities scene.
is.
She was the first Hmong lawyer in Minnesota. She was the executive director of the Council of Asian Pacific Minnesotans for 15 years. She basically started or was part of the team that started Nuchia and the My PAC, the first Hmong women PAC to support Hmong candidates. I mean, she was basically in the center of it. And if you ask anybody of her generation, they are aware of her work.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she passed, it was seismic. So for about a year or two after that, it was just me in panic mode.
I'm
Just,
sorry.
yeah, it was hard. It just felt like I was consoling my family and the community.
And you didn't have time for yourself, I'm assuming, Sharon.
I think I was in shock. I felt like I was walking around thinking about what had happened, but I didn't feel it. And it was like maybe a year and a half later, grief finds you.
Yeah. I'm assuming it came like a flood, huh? The dam
Well,
broke?
it was weird because it was random things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an anniversary of the day she passed. And I just remember how it felt. And it was so strong. And I don't know if I forgot, but it just felt all the feelings at once. And I couldn't get up. I know. It's weird because I feel like you think you can handle grief. You think, oh, I'm just gonna cry for a bit and then tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and it's gonna be different. Your body tells you
It does. It
when you're
does.
done. Yeah. It's like you're not done until we say you're done. So I just walked around with grief for I'd say a year or two, just like and this is 2 years after. So I was just found myself being angry all the time. I found myself being
At
very
what?
just
Or
world
towards. Mm-hmm.
towards
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
Like I think it manifests in terms of anger, and I was just very short tempered. I mean, I'm usually short tempered, but I definitely recognize myself being
Oh, yeah.
less patient with people I cared about, which is a problem. It's all a problem. But that's when I noticed I'm like, this is not me. This is not who I am. And I
And you
knew
needed
that,
help, probably.
oh, yeah, for sure. Of course, in the meantime, I was seeing therapists. Thankfully, there was telehealth. So I was seeing a team of therapists and I was treating it. I had, prescriptions. I had regular talk counseling, cognitive behavioral therapy, and I was unwrapping everything. It's
Good.
just all a big ball of bitterness and anger and kind of
Pain,
existential,
suffering, hurt.
of course. But grief is so interesting because it makes you distrustful, because you're like, if this can happen, then what is anything? You can become a nihilist. You can become like just very hateful. You can become just very apathetic and just say, I don't even care. So, yeah, any day you can walk and feel different or have different set of emotions. So, yeah, that was my grief. It just manifests itself in surprising new ways every day. And it was a struggle to stay on top of that. So that was an adventure.
And it still will be because grief always will carry with us. Sharon, your story. No, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I was just going to say that, like, but I know that I've talked with you about this before, Sai, but I just knew that grief was going to be part of my life. Like, I just know I will never not feel sad about what happened to my family, and it will always feel like a hole. So I had to learn how to make friends with my grief. I
That's a big
can't
one.
be just mad all the time. I can't be bitter. I can't live with grief that makes me hateful. I had to make grief my friend.
That's a weird concept and an oxymoron concept. Can you kind of elaborate with folks on practical steps and mindset? Because that's something I do teach my clients too. So expand more about that.
Yeah, because I did talk to a few of my friends um whose parents or you know close relatives passed,
Hmm.
and every single one of them is like, no, the grief never goes away. It's not like you wake up one day and you're like, I have no more grief. It just hurts you a little less. Yeah, it's not as painful, but
Right.
there's still pain. And I was like, I believe them because I'm like, yeah, after all these years, it doesn't feel any less painful. So I kept thinking, if this is going to be part of my life for the rest of my life, I just don't want it to be so mean to me. I don't want to be unprepared. I don't want to feel anger. I don't want to feel caught off guard. I need to kind of have a relationship with my grief that isn't so hurtful. That's, yeah, when I sought therapy and sought help and tried to understand my grief and to make it part of my life, that I can, you know, I see him in the room and I just have to like acknowledge him and just say, all right, this is what we're doing today.
Sharon, I have just have to comment. Thank you so much for being vulnerable with that. Oftentimes, we as a community or individually, we don't share vulnerabilities about grief. We only see the outside of it. But at the end of the day, what always makes me sad is after a funeral, the family has to go on that Monday, Tuesday, and that things that hurts me the most because I don't see that. And these are the things that you're talking about is what those families experience. And I just want to comment on a couple of things to share with the listener because one thing you brought up was void, right? That void is huge because there's a loss, a disconnection, or a loss of connection. Right? Anyone ever lost their wallet and lose their shit? Yes. So a human being is way more than that, right? And moving towards acceptance or acknowledging or validating that void is the first step. And it's as a therapist, I teach as my client, but it is hard, right? So go through your depression stage, go through your anger stage. One thing that I just wanted to add and share with the listeners, and also for you, Sharon, is you're healing, right? All this is process of healing because you're amending these bruises or cuts or whatever you call it, or broken bones sometimes, and also you're reconciliating. I'm not sure, but can you talk more about that? So for some reason, I thought about the word you're reconciling, but I'm not sure what that is. I just wrote that down.
I mean, definitely. I feel like reconciling is part of like
Hmm.
assessing loss
Ooh. Hey, that's good for the yeah.
because the shock of loss is
Mm-hmm.
enough to make you angry. It is enough to make you ask stupid questions like why, impossible questions. And then finally you're like, okay, I know that there's a loss. I know that this has changed me. How do I assess this? What does this mean now that I'm changed? What does this mean for my family, for the future? Make me feel like I can grow from this. I feel like a lot of times bad experiences are said to be, forget them, suppress them. You don't want to live with bad feelings. But I, that's not fair because that bad feeling is there for a reason. The bad feeling comes from something. And when you reconcile it, you're like, okay, I see where this feeling came from. I see what it took to get here. Now, what is it going to take to fill that hole? What is it going to take to, make myself feel whole again? You have to, make it work. That's the only way I can put it.
Exactly, and you're not alone, Sharon. And then just one thing that I just want to just change the mindset of asking why that someone died is not a dumb question. It's more of your bargaining. You can
Yeah.
bargain, and when I tell everyone, just yell, scream, and blame by that moment, but you should express your anger.
Oh, yeah.
A couple things, and then we're gonna move on, Sharon. I just want to comment a couple things in terms of how you talked about how your body felt and talking how you're trying to help yourself. So I I just want to teach people a little bit something about the flight or fight response, right? When we're scared or in danger, or a saber-toothed tiger or a lion or a bear is chasing us, it's about survival, right? Your adrenaline gets up, you're doing this, you're ready to fight or you're ready to run. And sometimes depression can give you that same energy, right? And then
Mhm.
if you're in that fight or flight mode or mindset for too long, then you're gonna go to depression, the anger state, and so forth. So my biggest thing when I tell you, your body will tell you. Also, the human body is one of the best survival system in the world. So when you're not feeling well, really get help. That's all I gotta say. Sharon, any last note on grief, and thank you for being vulnerable.
Well, you're asking me if I have any last notes. So I don't know why I this thought didn't occur to me before, but I
Hmm.
recently learned that your thoughts are your emotions. I
That's
mean,
right.
it seems very obvious. So I was like, well, yeah, of course. But now I'm starting to understand that the things you think about become your feelings. So if you think about sad things, you're going to be sad. Now, the trick is to think about other things, but to believe in them, to believe that there is good future coming up for you, that there are good things in this world, you know? There's also bad things, there's also sadness, and you can definitely think on that, and it deserves space. But when you're ready to think about the good things in the world again, to think about your love and the rest of your family and all your friends that are still with you, then go there, you know? Let your thoughts stay there. And then that is how you find your happiness and your joy and your recovery. So yeah, for some reason that didn't really strike me until recently, that I can't think about good things and then change my feelings,
That's right.
control my feelings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you're manifesting what you want, and then Sharon, the two biggest things I always teach people are how to get to that point is awareness and present moment thinking. So aware of what you're doing. My biggest thing is, all right, we're habitual beings. So the three things that kind of got out of there that you brought out is you change how you talk to yourself, and you gave yourself grace. That means being nice to yourself, like you will be your best friend. You're self compassionate. That means you're telling yourself, Sharon, I got this, right? And you're shifting your focus. And when I say shift your focus, is that oftentimes if we use fishing as an example, you're fishing in a lake that has no fish, then you're gonna get no fish, right? So you have to go to a different lake. Sharon, I'm happy that you are able to go to therapy. You're able to talk about this and share this, because oftentimes, even for me, I haven't dealt with this type of grief before, this close, but I've been around families and even see my parents going through grief, and it's, I don't know what to say. With family, I don't know. Clients, I can tell you, but family, it's the hardest thing. So you sharing your story is a testament to where you're at. Thank you, Sharon.
I'm glad to help.
It was very powerful. Good job, because the thing is, like, no one talks about grief that way, if I remember
I
correctly.
know.
So great job.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times Hmong people like to suffer in silence.
Like,
Yeah, I mean it's been a thing where I've been trying to get my family to speak about their grief as well.
same.
It's hard because I know that they're suffering, and like I don't know if they're seeking help or therapy. I know my mother was on antidepressants for a while. Like she had it worse. Like it was her husband, her daughter, and her brother within a year. So I mean, my uncle passed, and of course I love him, but for my mother to endure all that in 1 year, she was like,
Okay, Sharon, thank you so much for sharing that. Sharon, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I want you to dedicate a letter to yourself regarding your grief. Be friends to your grief.
thank you. This will be interesting because I feel like I have been writing letters to myself through my poetry.
Hmm.
I've
Nice.
been writing more poems since this happened, and I feel like the poetry have been my outlet, my letters to myself. But if I had to express it more explicitly, I would say, Dear Sharon, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel angry and frustrated and just feeling like the world is unfair, because it is. You are not promised a fair world. Everyone is going to suffer. Everyone is going to have a struggle that they cannot beat. And you are going to suffer. You are going to struggle, but you are also going to experience immense joy. And you are going to know and find people who love you. And that is where your future is. I hope you're tender with yourself. I hope you listen and respect your feelings. And I hope you remember everything you feel so that you can share this with others and be that source of love for people who need it. because everyone is walking around with their own suffering. And now you know exactly how it feels to need care. I choose to no longer suffer in silence. I choose to give my grief and my hurt a home in my heart, but not have it control my heart. To my Hmong people, don't suffer in silence anymore. There is this beautiful, beautiful network, this beautiful, loving nature to Hmong people. We care about each other. We are excited to be near each other, to have community. That's what makes us so special. Please lean into your community, lean into the people who love you. That's what we're here for.
And also seek mental health support if it's good for you.
Definitely.
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 Yes.
Yes.
Sharon,
Help
thank
yourself heal.
That's right. Absolutely. So double check. Okay. So Sharon, thank you for sharing your grief experience, your story, and your vulnerabilities. Something that's very special and dear to me regarding the podcast and you being open. So this is kind of like what I want to have this podcast for, is so people can hear these stories. The story of the silence, kind of like you're talking about, will bring light to it. And also, I remember you saying bringing up tapes, so setting messages. So this is our way of sa saw, which is to send message in our language to our people, the community, and the listeners.